Okay, Candice, here is our question of the day. If you could put a brand new Disney park anywhere in the world, where would you put it and why?
That is a really difficult question. And I don't really know that I have the answer because there's so many things that you have to consider when thinking about the type of experience that you get from a Disney park, right? I mean,
Right.
in Florida, I know you have the massive rain almost every day for a short time, a long time, whatever it may be, depending on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's pretty muggy and kind of hot all the time, except those few days where it's nice. In California, it's pretty temperate. I think Paris probably is the coldest of any of the locations around the world with the most weather fluctuations.
I didn't think this was going to be a stump you question.
Well, I know, but there's so much to think about. I guess I would probably say Texas, but I know that would never happen.
Okay, why would that never happen?
Just certain ideologies and thought processes and political things. I don't think it would happen.
Okay.
So I don't know that I have an answer to the question.
Okay. So I'll give you an out because I'm going to answer it, and then you can maybe think of how you might want to answer it if you don't like my answer.
Okay.
Okay. So I believe that I am going to go completely selfish because every Disney park that we have access to is at least a 20-hour drive away.
Correct.
I'm going to be completely selfish, and I'm going to put it somewhere that's within probably 8 to 10 hours of us.
Okay.
And I know that, and you know Disney's probably going to go near a population center.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say like Lincoln, Nebraska, because that just wouldn't make any sense.
At all, for a lot of reasons.
Right. But I think like you go 8 to 10 hours south of here, you're in the Dallas area.
Mm-hmm.
You go 8 to 10 hours to the kind of east of here, you're in Chicago. 8 to 10 hours, you're to the west, you're in the Denver area. But I think it would be really cool to have some sort of a Disney park. And this is, again, kind of a cop-out answer because they actually were thinking about doing this in the mountains of Colorado.
The mountains.
Yeah, in the winter, it could be a ski resort type place. They could utilize the hotel rooms and the resort rooms as for potential ski lodging. And during the summer months, you could have theme park like attractions. Like they could even do like mountain coasters. They could do any number of things that would be very Disneyfied and really cool that they could turn it into a year-round place. It would just have different activities depending on what time you were there.
Well, and they have the perfect IP to throw into it.
What's
it could
that?
be an entire Frozen piece of crap.
Sure.
And then we wouldn't have to go.
But if it's within 8 to 10 hours, you know you would go. You know you would. If they throw Disney name on anything, you're going to go. Heck, we drove 4 hours to go see a museum exhibit in Kansas City.
And it was fabulous.
It was just like anything Disney would do in the Colorado area would be fabulous. Just because you can't picture it in your head doesn't mean the Imagineers can't.
No, I realize that, but my hang up is if they go with the automatic, very obvious IP of something that I really don't care for. Yeah, I'd go.
Because they could have like Goofy ski school rides, attractions. There's any number of things that they could do that wouldn't necessarily have to be Frozen. Like maybe the winter things might be Frozen related, but again, Denver's not in Norway.
Neither is Arendelle.
I know it's a fictional place, but yeah, so you just instantly jumped to I'm not going to like the IP they use because of snow. I jumped to all the things that they could do. Like you look at a place like a Dollywood or what's the like Pigeon Forge Tennessee area, which is in the mountains, and there's
Silver Dollar City.
there's a
and that
lot
kind
of
thing.
really cool stuff that they can do. That if you were to plus that up with Disney, would just be, I think, fantastic.
Okay.
That's my idea. What do you think? Do you want to come up with a place now that I did? No is okay.
No.
Okay. I'll take my imaginary brain and we can use that.
I gave you my logical reasons for why things wouldn't necessarily work.
Yes, I understand.
You be Walt, I'll be Roy in this situation.
Okay, that sounds good. Hi, I'm Scott.
I'm Candice.
I'm Lacey.
And I'm Lariah.
Grab a drink and come hang with us at the Hangar Bar.
Okay, welcome back to the Hangar Bar, everyone. We are so glad you are here. This is an exciting time of year, and I think our next few episodes are going to be a lot of fun. So today you have Candice and Scott with you, and we're going to talk all things D23 parks and attractions and resorts related. So that's going to be today's episode.
I think it's important to point out that, yes, D23 is a week in the past already, and it's not that we're behind things. It's just we've had a lot going on outside of the podcast, and we kind of wanted to marinate on everything that was announced because there was so much of it.
Yes. Huge announcements. And again, it was last weekend we're recording, and it was last weekend.
Yeah.
So this is our first opportunity to kind of publish an episode about it as well. But yeah, we took some time to kind of think through everything. And then as a preview, next week's episode will be another D23 episode. Lacey and Lariah are going to be talking all things D23 entertainment announcements. So movies, TV shows, other things. They're going to be talking about and reacting to all of that. And then the following episodes are going to be some of our favorites to record because we're getting back into food and wine again. We're getting close. So we're going to talk all things food and wine menu in the next couple episodes. So after we get done with D23. So over the course of the next 4 weeks, we are super excited about what we're going to be sharing with you. So make sure you tell your friends about us, send links, send forward our podcast, not our podcast page, our social media pages, all of that to anybody that you know that might be interested in either D23 or to food and wine because they'll want to tune in over the next few weeks.
Or to just hear our super stellar opinions about all things Disney.
Exactly. Okay, so before we jump into D23 stuff, let's talk about our book giveaway.
Yes, let's do.
So about a month or so ago now, maybe a little bit longer now, we had our episode with James Warda and Theron Skis, authors of the book How Does Disney Do That?
And Why It Matters.
And why it matters. There's a whole long title that I always forget the long title of. But go back and listen to that episode because, again, if you haven't, it's a great one to listen to. Not very often do we get to listen into Disney authors and Disney Imagineers talk about Disney. You can tell the passion in their voices. You can tell all of that kind of stuff. And in that episode, we said we were giving away a signed copy of their book. Well, I am excited to announce that Instagram user, I'm going to get this wrong, so the Instagram user handle is AmerTDK, and Dana is her name. She's a Disney, Harry Potter, and Broadway enthusiast. So, Dana, congratulations
Congrats,
on
Dana.
winning a copy of this book. We're excited. We'll look forward to you taking a read of this book and letting us know what you think about it.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't win this book, feel free to go out to Amazon, Rivershore Press, anywhere, and get a copy of it. It is a fantastic read for any Disney fan, and as we talked about in that episode, even sometimes folks that aren't Disney fans could get a lot out of that book. Okay, anything else before we jump into D23, Candice?
I don't think so.
Okay, as Candice said, there was a ton of stuff that came out about the parks and experiences in the most recent D23. The showcase was the Horizons, Disney's Experience Showcase. I think it was in California. I'm pretty confident about that. So let's just go down the list. We're looking at Disney Parks blog because as I tried to take notes of all the tweets that I saw about all the things that are coming out, I was getting confused. So we went to the Disney Parks blog, and let's just go down the list of all the things.
Okay, but I think it's important to note that, like last year when we talked about some of this D23 stuff, a lot of it was still in blue sky mode, which means that it was conceptual and it was still in works and they hadn't finalized anything on it yet, and it was just basically project outlines. Well, this year when they made those announcements, everything has been greenlit. So they are moving ahead with all of these things that we're going to talk about, and I am so excited.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot of really cool stuff coming, and you'll probably get into some of our snarky opinions too.
Oh, absolutely.
As we go through this list, but I think the good so far outweighs the snark that I'm going to provide. That I couldn't be happier with this D23.
It's not often that you unload the snark.
Right.
Usually that's my job.
Okay, so let's start with the cruise line.
Yes.
Not only does Disney have 2 ships that are launching in the next 2 years, they just opened their new private island area, Lighthouse Point.
Mm-hmm.
They just got a new ship that's going to be sailing, or they're finishing up another ship that's going to be sailing around Asia.
Mm-hmm.
They announced that they're going to launch 4 new ships from 2027 to 2031. That brings their total cruise line fleet up to 13 ships when it's all said and done.
My gosh.
It's crazy how big they're getting.
I know. We need to get continuing to complete the fleet because we're getting left behind.
Right. And I'm just thinking to myself, 13 ships, we've been on 4 of them.
Yeah. And we're behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're 2 behind at this point, right? Or soon to be 3 behind.
Soon to be 3 behind, yes.
Goodness gracious. If you would like to donate to our cruise fund, we would be happy to accept your donations and shout you out in a future podcast episode.
Or if you'd like the thought of a Hangin' at the Hangar Bar Disney group cruise, we can certainly look into setting something like that up.
Yes, we certainly can. Donations begin at $8,000.
Stop it.
Okay, so let's look through this article just a little bit. 4 ships will be joining Disney Cruise Line's ever-growing roster of award-winning ships. So as I look through this article a little bit more, Candice, do you think that them introducing basically 6 ships over the next 6 years is going to help pricing? Or do you think they're building these ships because there's the demand and they're not going to have to alter pricing?
So here's the thing about that. I don't think they're going to have to alter pricing because they fill every ship that they have now to the point that they've needed to create Lighthouse Point.
Right.
They've needed other outlets to dock their ships in, like over in Europe for the summer and go to Alaska and some of these other places that a lot of other cruise lines go to, but none of the other cruise lines have the magic of Disney.
Right.
With that, of course, comes the mouse tax, which we gladly pay.
Yes.
I don't think, keeping in mind that Disney is a corporation and a business, I don't think they would have pulled the trigger on this many new ships if they didn't feel 100% confident that they would get their return on investment with what they expect.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, that this probably isn't going to alter pricing too much immediately.
It would be nice, but
because I don't think they announced the size of the ships, but my guess is they're going to be that Triton class, which holds, I think Theron told us how many they hold, but they're big ships.
They're the biggest of all of them.
Yeah. So 4 new ships coming, a couple other things cruise line related that they brought out. Josh D'Amaro talked about on the brand new Disney Destiny, which is going to start sailing next year. A brand new feature production is going to be Hercules.
That'll be amazing.
Which is going to be exciting. I can see that stage adaptation on a cruise ship working very well.
Yes.
And then the Disney Treasure, which sets sail later this year, they are doing a Disney The Tale of Moana as a production on that ship. The show will also include a giant puppet on stage, which the picture they have is of Te Fiti. Well, Te Fiti before she becomes Te Fiti.
So Te Kā?
Te Kā, yeah. Taka will appear on stage as a 15-foot tall puppet, the largest we've ever produced for a Disney Cruise Line show, Josh told the crowd.
Interesting.
I've had a chance to see this in person, and it's stunning. So, yeah, that's super cool that they're doing new shows and that kind of thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that's a big thing because Disney, of course, is known for their live entertainment. And I think to have the pull to book guests onto different ships, you need to have some different offerings. Like the internal spaces on the ships are starting to look very, very, very similar.
Yep.
So I think there's got to be something that pulls people and makes them want to go on the different ships. Because, I mean, think about us. We would 100% stay on the Magic and the Wonder if we had our way about it because we love those ships so much.
Right. Yeah, I think you're spot on that itineraries are one thing. So you have to have enough consistency that across itineraries you still feel that Disney Cruise Line experience, but you also have to have enough difference that it makes you want to try new itineraries. Like, oh, I want to go to that bar on that ship. Maybe I'm not so interested in that itinerary, but I want to see that ship.
Right.
So it gives Disney multiple ways to draw people on board.
100%. And you know what I would really like to see, and I know this is kind of a trend with them right now in the direction that they're moving things, but I would like to see them kind of get back to the classic sort of experiential dining on the ships where you can still do the rotational dining in some of the restaurants with a little bit different twist to them, but get away from so much of the show and dinner event all at once so they can get back to quality food and not relying so much on having a distraction of somebody singing in your face while you're trying to eat.
Yep. Agreed. Not everything has to be a show.
Right.
Make it about the food.
Yes.
Okay, so the next D23 announcement is something we probably won't spend much time on because I don't know that it's our demographic, and it's not anything we necessarily are overly excited about, but they announced a new partnership with Epic Games, which is the builder of Fortnite, to put Disney Universe into the Fortnite.
Okay.
Candice is probably closer to the gamer of our family. Does that make you want to maybe pick up Fortnite and see what it's all about?
I mean, you put mouse ears on it, I'm going to have to see what it's all about. I mean, look what's happened with Dreamlight Valley, which I need to get back into that, but we've had a lot going on. I think if it's done correctly, it could be fabulous.
Right.
I think if they, well, and if it's coming directly from Disney, they're not going to not do it right, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, Disney will also invest $1.5 billion to acquire an equity stake in Epic Games alongside the multi-year project.
Okay.
So it might not just be all Fortnite. That may be the gaming distribution company that they're picking to distribute their games going forward.
Okay.
That wouldn't be too bad.
No.
Okay, anything else about the games?
No.
Okay. Now we get into the parks. The first one is Monsters, Inc. Land in Hollywood Studios.
Including a suspended roller coaster that is going to mimic going through the Hall of Doors.
Which, as Disney fans, we've been asking for that since that movie came out.
Right.
Like, there's certain movies where you watch and you're like, that would make a fantastic ride. Like, I think of that one. I think about the wrong lever in Emperor's New Groove,
which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different movie scenes where you're like, that would make a really cool attraction. And the Flying Doors is one of them, and they're going to make it a reality. I'm just reading through this article a little bit to see if there's anything else. So they talk about the coaster.
Has it been determined, and I apologize for not doing my research before asking this question, has it been determined where that's going to be in Hollywood Studios?
I have not heard that yet. I don't think they have announced that, which is one of my areas of snark.
Okay.
Because I'm hearing rumors that they're going to take out Muppets Courtyard. Because the infrastructure is there for everything that they want to do. There's already restaurant kitchens. There's already a space that you can kind of walk back into if you were there. And there's a lot of that space that's currently kind of underutilized. And the Muppet Vision 3D Theater, while an amazing show, and I may riot if it goes away completely, is looking a little dated.
Yes.
But it is also one of those things that it was the last thing that Jim Henson worked on. So getting rid of it would be like saying, hey, let's just get rid of the last thing Jim Henson worked on. And as much as I'm about park progress, they got to figure out some way to redo that or reuse it if they're going to get rid of Muppet Courtyard.
Right. I agree.
The other place I've heard it is Animation Courtyard.
Ugh.
Like get rid of Star Tours.
Oh.
Like that area, because Star Tours doesn't necessarily make sense where it is anymore with Galaxy's Edge being there. So I've heard that they're potentially going to put it there. The concept art there's some eagle-eyed folks that have seen some things that make them think Muppets Courtyard. I've heard other things that they like scrapped the concept art that they were using first because it was too identifying of where it was and they haven't decided yet. And that was an Animation Courtyard. So I don't know for sure, but those are the two options that I'm hearing the most noise about.
I mean, out of the two, I think you know which direction I'm pulling for.
Yeah, and Star Tours is great, and that's the thing is we're going to talk. No, I was going to say we're going to talk about Star Tours, but we're not. So my guess is that's close to being on the chopping block.
That'd be fine.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll do that attraction, that roller coaster. They're also going to do dining. Like one of the things that I've heard that people are hoping for now is that what is the sushi restaurant in Monsters, Inc.?
I don't know what it's called. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but
yeah, there's a sushi restaurant that they go to. So folks are hoping that they make that a reality in that land as well. So overall, what do you think of Monsters, Inc. in Hollywood Studios? Do you think it fits?
Oh, I definitely think it fits, especially with Toy Story Land being right there.
Yeah.
And that's the direction that they're taking that park, is getting you immersed into those movies. And I think Monsters, Inc. is a pretty epic movie.
Yes.
And if they do it correctly, as they will, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. Agreed. So here's my other thing. If they get rid of Muppet Courtyard,
I'll be sad.
I will be sad, but here's what I request they do. So Imagineers, if you're listening, retheme Rock and Roller Coaster to be Muppet Mayhem.
Electric Mayhem, you mean?
Yeah, the band.
Uh-huh.
And put the Muppet Show over in where you have Lightning McQueen's Racer Academy now. Make that your Muppet Vision 3D Theater. And just make that your new Muppet Courtyard.
Oh, good call. Yes.
Because one of the next things we're going to talk about is Cars going in somewhere else. So maybe it's not as important there in Hollywood Studios anymore, and frees up room and lets you keep that IP from Muppets and kind of being in the movie and TV shows there too. So Imagineers, if you're listening, please do that. Okay, anything else from Hollywood Studios?
No.
Let me see. Before we move on, let me make sure I'm looking before we leave that park. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there as we go down the list, because
If
we'll
we
come
have to
back to
circle
this
back,
park.
we
Yeah.
can.
We'll circle back to that park. I was just looking at the list. Okay, so let's move over to Magic Kingdom.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, there's some really cool things coming here too, but let's start with something that I think might be just a touch controversial. They're adding Cars to Frontierland.
Okay.
So they're building 2 attractions. One is a quicker than quick race car who eats losers for breakfast, and one is a tow truck with a heart of gold. Lightning McQueen and Tow Mater are racing into Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World Resort. Don't get too comfortable in Radiator Springs, because it's time to leave the pit stop and head west into exciting new frontiers. On this adventure, guests will be able to experience not one but 2 exciting new Cars-themed attractions. One attraction will invite you on a thrilling rally race through the mountains, take on wild terrain as you race across the landscape, climbing mountain trails, dodging geysers, and Mater's favorite, splashing through mud holes. But what about smaller racers? The second attraction will be geared towards them and will be fun for the whole family. So my guess is that's going to be like Tow Mater's spin ride, like you have in Toy Story Land.
In California?
or they have it in California exactly
Yeah.
as Tow Maters, but it's the same ride as
Alien swirling saucers.
that ride system
Yes.
would be my guess is what they're going to do there. So that's exciting. Nothing in Frontierland right now screams to me modern enough for cars, but I'll be interested to see how they do it.
Well, and if you think about it, when you go back and you watch that movie and they actually roll into Radiator Springs, yes, you're going down Route 66 or whatever, and it's in the desert and all of this, but when you roll into Radiator Springs, you kind of get that throwback feeling to the 50s and 60s where there was diners and all of this other stuff. And I think if you put it in that perspective, it does fit in Frontierland.
Yeah, I guess.
And especially with the revamp of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, we haven't been on it yet. But the ride-throughs and that kind of thing that we have watched kind of give it that whole mid-century vibe to me.
Yeah, so Tiana's Bayou Adventure, I think, is set in the early 1900s.
Right.
20s, 30s, somewhere in there. So they're modernizing Frontierland.
Yes.
And I think it all depends on what your definition of frontier is, right?
Right.
Is the 50s really frontier? Is the old school diners really frontier? Or are they going to maybe go back a little bit further for the theming? Who knows? Again, I'm going to trust the Imagineers. I'm just having trouble picturing it in my head. I'm sure the story will be great. I'm sure it will fit in seamlessly, all of those kind of things. I'm having trouble picturing it because I'm so attached to what Frontierland is today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, is that what's going in to Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island?
I think it's both of the things that we're going to talk about in Magic Kingdom that they're filling in the river for.
Okay.
So before we get to that, let's talk about the next thing, which is something, again, fans have asked about for ages.
And we've even talked about it in depth on the podcast.
We have an entire episode about building a Villains Land in Magic Kingdom. And from the concept art, I think they are listening to our podcast because the concept art looks very familiar to some of the things that we talked about. But they are putting in a Villains Land with attractions and food and all of that kind of thing beyond Big Thunder Mountain. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're calling it Beyond Big Thunder anymore, but it's that if you think about where it's going to go in the park, that's going to be where it's going to go in the park.
Right.
They're filling in the Rivers of America, taking out Tom Sawyer's Island to create better walking paths to get to all of those places. Because right now in Magic Kingdom, there's a couple of dead ends, right? You go over to the mountain.
Big Thunder.
That's a dead end. You have to turn around and come back around. You go to Haunted Mansion. That's a dead end because of the river. Because of the river. So they're going to fill that in. Now, one thing that I really like about Haunted Mansion that I hope they figure out a way to do is that dead end, again, pun not intended, is it feels like that's not a part of the park anymore, right?
Right.
So if they have that queue line going next to a big walkway that's noisy with people trying to get to Villains Land or Cars Land, that's going to feel different. It's going to feel less isolated and I think make that whole ride experience for
Haunted
Mansion less frightening, using air quotes.
It will definitely take out some of the immersion of the attraction itself.
That's a good way to put that, yes. Okay, so as I look at the article, the land will encompass all your dreams or nightmares. The space will be home to 2 major attractions, dining and shopping on an incredibly twisted grand scale. Be prepared, you poor unfortunate souls, Josh teased. It's going to be a fearless new vision for what a Disney experience can be. Do you think he chose his words carefully there? Do you think one of the attractions is going to be the Sea Witch? Ursula?
Could be. Wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe would Disney stoop so low as to put an octopus spinning ride in the park?
I hope not.
Like, it would be Dumbo-esque.
It would.
Just with, you would ride around in little Ursulas. Don't go there, Candice. Don't go there.
No, I'm not going anywhere. That's a little hokey.
Yeah, my guess is there'll be a couple of dark rides. That would
Yes.
be my guess. Like,
Yeah.
they may have a roller coaster, but I think if they were going to build a big roller coaster, they probably would have teased it just like they did the Monsters, Inc. one.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they talk about storytelling, that tells me maybe it's a couple of dark rides. And I still love her idea. The idea popped into my head from when we were talking about Villains Land. Do Ariel's the Journey Under the Sea with Ariel, but tell it from Ursula's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And have it be not a mirror attraction, but the same story told from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
How cool would that be?
That'd be pretty cool.
Let's go ride Ariel's and then let's go get on Ursula's.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing. So again, Imagineers, if you're listening, take my idea. I'm not even going
TM.
to charge you for it.
Well, we might a little bit.
Yeah, TM. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about that Magic Kingdom expansion just in terms of the land that it's taking. So they're getting rid of Rivers of America, which means the Liberty Bell is going away,
Right.
and that means Tom Sawyer's Island is going away.
Right.
What do we think about that?
So I have some mixed feelings on it. I think Tom Sawyer's Island has run its course. Like, we've never taken the time to go over there. I'm not going to get on a raft and go over there and explore caves and no.
Right,
So I think that's fine to have it gone.
right.
The Liberty Bell I'm a little bit sad about though.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is the announcement and the placement and all of that is not a knee-jerk reaction to an incident that happened within the last month or so with a guest thinking it was okay to swim in Rivers of America. It absolutely is not, but that happened because apparently this is why we can't have nice things.
Right.
But I think just space constraints, I think that's the only choice they have. And I know that there's more land than Walt said he bought more land
Than he would ever need.
than he could ever need. But I think they're testing that theory.
Right. Yeah, and I've heard some rumors that part of the reason they chose the space they did was that river is an upkeep nightmare.
Oh, I mean the wildlife management alone.
Right. And it's a concrete tracked
Yes.
underwater system which rusts, which has to be drained and repaired
Yes.
and all of that, when the water features they can add without it having to be a river are much less maintenance intensive.
Yes.
And probably look and feel just as good, because that's one of my fears is like Tom Sawyer's Island in the Rivers of America is pretty.
It is.
It's interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that it doesn't just become, and Disney doesn't do this, so when I say I hope, I know they won't, that it doesn't just look like a theme park.
Right.
But I don't think they will.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean though, because like I hope that they keep their whole attention to detail focus.
Right.
And really theme everything out very well and not just knee-jerk, like, do it because we have to get it done fast.
Right. Make sure that in the sight lines you can't see Villains Land from Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Yes.
Make sure you can't see Cars Land from Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
They have to figure out how to make sure that when you're in those lands, you stay in those lands.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, getting rid of Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer's Island, I think those were ties that Roy wanted to have to Walt.
Mm-hmm.
And Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Walt ever wanted Disney World to be a second Disneyland.
No.
So taking some of those things away and, again, making it different in Florida than it is in California is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is more impetus to maybe go to
Both.
California and Florida. So I think there's some of that went into it, too. So I'm okay with what they're doing. When we go in December, we have to get on the riverboat, though, because I've never been.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I want to be able to say I was on that
Yes.
before they took it away.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else from Magic Kingdom before we move on?
I am just looking forward to the changes. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be awesome as long as it's done correctly and not like quickly and, pardon me, but half-assed.
Right.
And really themed and detailed and all of the things that you just talked about as far as sight lines and keeping that immersion appropriate.
Right. And more things that are going to take more capacity in Magic Kingdom are not going to be a bad thing.
No.
They need to add more attractions. The wait times all around Disney World are ridiculous. So by adding more attractions, hopefully that will bring wait times down for everything. But I also know Disney is doing that to increase capacity so they'll let more people into the park. But whatever. Hopefully it will all work out for the best. Okay, so let's move over to Animal Kingdom and say our RIP to Dinoland USA.
Sad.
2027, that will go away in favor of an Encanto. Well, no, it's a Tropical America's Land at Animal Kingdom, which is going to include an Indiana Jones ride, which tells a completely different story than the one in California.
Right, but I would bet that that's going to take the dinosaur space since it's on the same track. They could just theme it out differently on the inside.
And have it tell a different story.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
But the track is already there.
Right. And then they are also stealing one of our podcast ideas for an Encanto attraction where you're going on, what's the little boy's name?
Emilio?
No,
Antonio.
Antonio's. You're going through his story through the casita, into the different rooms of the casita on an attraction there. TM. They should have to pay me for that. Granted, just because I thought of it a few months ago, they've probably had this in the works for years, but they probably TM'd it well before I did. But that's exciting too. I think Dino Land, again, is such a misunderstood land.
Yes.
That I think it's one of those places that people kind of just avoid in Animal Kingdom right now.
Because they don't understand. And
Right.
they don't have the attachment to it that they do to other things.
Okay, friends. Hopefully we didn't leave on a disjointed thought. We lost power during recording. I think we were talking about Animal Kingdom, Dino Land being a place that people don't really go to
Yes.
very much. But I think I can't remember if we had any more thoughts. We got cut off. I don't think it was even mid-sentence. It was...
Mid-syllable, maybe.
Yeah. But I think we were kind of done there, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just touching on it once again, I think Dino Land could have been a bigger deal than what it was. The story was just not as well known as some of the other stories that are around Disney World.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And people didn't go seeking out that story. I liken the Dino Land story to the Disney Springs story.
Yes.
People don't mind not having an obvious story slap them in the face in Disney Springs. And my guess is 80% of the people that you talk to would not believe there was a story in Disney Springs.
But there is.
But there is. Just like probably 80% of the people that you talk to would be like, Dino Land doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Even though it does.
Yes.
Again, good change, I think. Like, it's time for that land to get a refurbishment. Primeval Whirl has been shut down for 2 years or more.
Yep.
So the only thing, we mentioned it, the only things over there were dinosaur, a food booth, and a sand pit for kids to play in.
Yes, and the carnival games, which were overpriced.
Yeah, and they had the swirl ride too, right?
Triceratops twirl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll probably replace that with something more middle America.
I would think so.
Tropical America. Okay.
Yes.
So we are going to skip ourselves all the way across the country now to Disneyland, and we're going to start in California Adventure, okay?
Okay.
So they are bringing Pandora to Disneyland's California Adventure. The new destination draws inspiration from Avatar: The Way of Water, which is the newest Avatar film that's coming out later this year, right? It's not out yet, correct?
No, Way of Water has been out for a year or so, maybe a little bit more than that, but I guess there's more in the works.
Oh, okay. So this is going to be a dynamic, intense, and emotional experience on a grand scale that we know our guests will love. Ready to explore this breathtaking experience worthy of these epic stories? Sivako, whatever that means.
I'm sure it's Na'vi for something.
Yeah, I'm sure it is too. I'm just looking to see if it says what's going to be there.
I would assume they would throw a Flight of Passage in because that's so flippin' popular. At Animal Kingdom.
It might be a water ride, Candice. Looking at the concept art, it looks like folks are on a big boat.
So they're putting in another Navi River journey?
No, I think it's going to be high speed. It's going to be like a log flume type ride.
Oh, okay.
Because it says this new and thrilling excursion will bring all the action, excitement, and wonder of Avatar, taking guests all the way to the wide open seas of Pandora.
Well, good for them.
So new and thrilling excursion speaks highly of it potentially being not a slow-moving,
Minute and a half.
right, can't make rope interesting kind of place.
Okay.
Okay, so here's another thing happening in Disneyland that you, I'm sure, are stoked about and will be one of the reasons why we have to go to Disneyland as soon as this is done. They are making a first of its kind, first ever Walt animatronic that's going to be going into the same theater as Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It's going to rotate between those two shows. That's exciting.
I am very excited, and I'm sure it will pay respect and homage to Walt in very appropriate ways. I don't think they would dare do anything different.
Yes. Yeah, and I read a story somewhere, Twitter, maybe something like that, that the Imagineers that are working on that know that they have to get it right. There is no misses with that. Like, my guess is, like, everything is in the works, but if they don't get that one 100% right, they won't put it in front of the public.
Right, and hopefully it's not another one of those, we did it right, like the first iteration of Enchantment, the Nighttime Spectacular at Magic Kingdom.
Right.
That did not include Walt and Mickey, even though it should have.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So it says Walt Disney A Magical Life will debut inside the Main Street Opera House, and after its initial run, the attraction will play in rotation with Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So it is going to be a full-time show in the Opera House to start, and then it will move into the same theater as Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. Or is that where Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is? Is it in the Opera House?
I don't know. We haven't been there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. So speaking of what we just said, creating our first Walt figure is a huge responsibility, and we've brought members of the Disney family along with us for every step of the journey. Josh continued on stage. His great-nephew, Roy P. Disney, visited the Imagineering campus recently to see our progress, and he's here tonight. Thank you, Roy, for helping us fulfill this dream.
Good.
So, yeah, they're bringing family in and the whole bit just to make sure they do it right, which is awesome.
Good.
Okay, so then we go... So Deadpool crashed D23 with some major announcements. So let's go through that one. Speaking of, we don't do necessarily a lot of movie reviews, but speaking of Deadpool, the most recent one is classic. I loved it.
Yes.
So who let Deadpool into D23, the ultimate Disney fan event? Well, someone's about to have their security clearance revoked because the mostly read box office star, the Merc with a mouth, himself stormed the stage during Horizon's Disney Experience Showcase to pitch his own ideas for what he thinks might be good additions to Disney parks around the world. His bad ideas included the Chimichanga Chaser, Deadpool's Heck House, Logan's Run featuring Wolverine. The possibilities are endless. Or maybe not. Leave this to the professional Imagineers, Wade. Well, those might be some of Deadpool's brown sky ideas. They're not actually in development. But Disney Experiences Chairman Josh D'Amaro did have a few other superhero-related things to announce during the showcase. Shanghai Disneyland is getting an all-new Spider-Man thrill attraction Yep, I was just going to double up my words there. Peter Parker's gotten himself and us in a bit of a tight spot. We're going to follow him at very high speeds to get us out of trouble. Hong Kong Disneyland is expanding Stark Expo. There's an all-new attraction coming to Hong Kong. Disney California Adventure. Ready recruits. The size of Adventure's campus at Disneyland will double with not one but two brand new attractions to suit up and fight along some of Earth's mightiest heroes. Construction on this expansion will begin next year. Do you think they're going to bring Guardians to... No, Guardians aren't. Never mind. Wrong.
Well, and it's already there.
Right.
And they've got the...
I was thinking Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Oh, I see.
But
what
no,
you mean.
different universe.
Yep.
Get ready for multi-world adventure experience with Avengers Infinity Defense. Technology that allows the Avengers to jump between worlds has gone missing, and King Thanos is using it to wreak havoc everywhere. That sounds an awful lot like...
That sounds like Guardians of the Galaxy.
It does.
Well, Tower of Terror can be different on both coasts, so can this.
Yep. Recruits will travel to iconic locations like Asgard, Wakanda, and New York City alongside the likes of big and small heroes. You also might just find yourself face-to-face with King Thanos, too.
Okay.
Stark Flight Lab, you're going to sit in two-person pods and deploy to a test station. Then a robot arm grabs your pod and starts whirling you around in a simulated flight. That sounds an awful lot like they're using the technology from Mission Space.
Blah.
So, yeah, that will be interesting. It looks more like a roller coaster thing, though, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But, yeah. So those are all the things that are Marvel-related around the park. Anything you want to talk about there, or is that more just us announcing it?
I think that's more of an announcement. I don't feel comfortable making too much of a prediction or saying anything about it because I am not all invested in Avengers and all of that kind of thing. Deadpool is my speed completely, right. And that's more for the snark and the silliness of it all. But as far as superheroes, that's about as far as I go.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Next, there's just a few more things to walk through here, folks. So hang with us. This is like we said, there was a lot that was announced in D23 this year. There's a new Lion King ride announced for Disneyland Paris, which sounds exciting. The Lion King, which is celebrating its 30th anniversary this year. Holy crap, we're old.
Speak for yourself.
The new attraction will bring you alongside Simba's journey from cub to king. It's going to feel like you stepped right into the movie.
So it almost seems to me like it's going to be some sort of a dark ride situation.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
My guess is they'll have some sort of a speed thrill element to it, I would think. But
hopefully not during the stampede.
Right. Too soon, Candice. Too soon.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that sounds like a cool thing coming to Disneyland Paris. And Candice and I, we share everything with you as an audience. We're actually talking about a potential Disneyland Paris trip next year as part of a larger vacation. So hopefully you'll get to hear us plan that too. I don't know that will be open by then, but Disneyland Paris and the other park there just seems really cool. And I think we're going to try and take the opportunity to go when we're visiting Europe for some other things.
How can we not?
Exactly. Okay, so back to California Adventure. First ever Coco ride is announced. It's about darn time.
And honestly, we've talked about this one too.
Right, we have.
WDI, cough it up.
Exactly. Maybe we didn't TM that one like we should have.
Well,
the attraction will be filled with characters and music you know and love from the beloved movie as you join Miguel on a trip to the land of the dead. This marks the first ever Coco ride in a Disney park. That sounds like, if I had to guess, that's going to be a slow-moving dark ride. Like potentially an Omni-Mover kind of thing.
Yeah. And
That's
I bet
exciting.
it's just going to be so visually beautiful, it'll just be ridiculous.
Yeah. And we always said throw it into the Mexico Pavilion, but they're throwing it into California Adventure instead.
Maybe as a test run.
Right. See how popular it is and if people like it.
Yeah.
Because it would be an interesting boat ride concept. Okay, so then the next one we won't spend too much time on. Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Disneyland is opening in November of this year. So on the 15th of November, both coasts will have Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Yep.
I'm excited for our December trip when we actually get to go on that and
In Florida.
And see what's happening. I'm excited for it because I've long said that was a good change. And looking at the animatronics, I think they got that one right.
Yep.
So, okay. Now, for a group that likes to drink, this next one is super exciting as well. Drink up me hearties and thank the Phoenicians, Candice.
Thank you, Phoenicians.
There are 2 new lounges coming to Disneyland. Disney World, sorry. The first one is a lounge inspired by Spaceship Earth.
Yes.
Which is super exciting. Like, can you imagine all the drinks they can do? They could do a history of cocktails. They could do
like a flight situation.
A flight thing going through some of the different scenes. It so much cool. And the concept art for that one, the windows on it look like they look out over the fireworks. So I don't know how they're going to do that. And it's just concept art, but it looks like a really cool lounge.
Well, but with everything that they've done and I don't mean to sidetrack us here, but with everything that they've done, like with Space 220 and the magic windows that they have in there where there aren't really windows,
Right.
they very easily could use the space that's currently occupied by Project Tomorrow, which is the area right when you get off of Spaceship Earth and you
Right.
walk through like the map where your picture goes and all that pretty much people just walk right through.
Right.
They could very easily turn that into a very nice lounge with some magic windows and that kind of thing and just do it completely appropriately.
Yeah, 100% agree. So it says, taking inspiration from the geometric sphere, the zen space to gather and enjoy refreshment will be draped with rich textures and warm metallic tones, giving it a mysterious and elegant intimacy.
Ooh.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. And if they don't have a drink called Rome is Burning, I'm going to be pissed.
It would have to be a smoky old-fashioned, I would think.
Yeah, I would think. It would have to be something like that, something smoked.
Yep.
So it smells just like that when you get the drink.
Yes.
How cool would that be? Get off of that attraction and go into the lounge and then just be instantly taken back to the attraction smells by the drink that you order. Mm-hmm. So good. Mm-hmm. So good. Imagineers. TM, but Imagineers have already thought about that.
Well, yeah.
And the cast members are the magic. The Imagineers make the magic.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then the other is a tavern themed to the Pirates of the Caribbean. And that one was actually announced at Destination D23 last year. It's the first lounge in Magic Kingdom that's not attached to a restaurant. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an exciting kind of big change as well. Mm-hmm. Here, bandits and buccaneers to be from every corner of the seven seas are welcome to join together and raise a toast to the pirate life. In the newly released artwork, X marks the spot for a seaworthy selection of grogs and grub inside this tavern located coming to Magic Kingdom Park. And both those spaces will welcome their first guests in 2025.
Right. And I think with that one, like it's not, I think the theory behind that one is really good because it's not just dropping a bar in what's up to this point been a dry park,
right?
Aside from table service meals,
right?
It fits.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that kept bars out of Magic Kingdom was Walt didn't want alcohol in his parks because people get rambunctious.
Hello, Epcot.
At times, yeah. So I think Disney will have to be careful about that. Mm-hmm. And really sort of set the rules. And I could even see them making that what's the bar in Galaxy's Edge?
Oga's Cantina.
Like a time limit drink maximum kind of experience.
Yes.
Instead of being like the Nomad Lounge where you can go in there at 10 o'clock in the morning and stay till 6 at night and just drink your day away. I can see them not allowing that in Magic Kingdom.
Right.
So, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so going back into Epcot, another thing, they recently closed Test Track for refurb, or maybe it's not closed or it's getting ready to close or something, but they are redoing Test Track.
Yay!
And again, it's about time. That change that they made to the Tron-like one was like, I try not to be overly critical of Disney, especially when they're working with corporate partners, but that change from the original test dummy version to the version it is today was objectively a bad change. Would you agree?
Yes.
It just, yeah, I didn't like it. Now it'll be interesting to see what they do. It looks like they're going to try and innovate a little bit more with it. Test Track will celebrate today's innovation while highlighting the past, present, and future. The queue will feature 6 distinct exhibits, and within each room celebrate the vehicles and people behind the vehicles that push the envelope and help get people to our next chapter in our motion journey. New show scenes will be added, showcasing technological advances and how our lifestyles and relationships to mobility connect to everyone. Enjoy a joyride through scenes focusing on onboard technology, customization, and personalization, followed by a trip through a scenic outdoor route reminding us all of the joy of driving, taking in the world around us and spending quality time with friends and family. Construction on this reimagined experience has already begun, and eagle-eyed visitors might already have picked up on the fact that the new exterior harkens back to the original pavilion designs.
Okay.
So yeah, it sounds like maybe they're going to go back to what made it special in the first place. And I like the fact that maybe they're going to do something with the outside track as well that makes it less just about going fast.
Yes, I agree.
Because right now it's just, oh great, I get to go on the highway.
Yay.
Yay. I'm going 60. I was going faster than that on the bus as we whipped around a corner to get here. That's not true for all of you that might be scared of Disney buses. They don't do that. But yeah, so that's exciting too. I'm happy for that one. Just a couple of more here. So this one, again, we won't spend a ton of time on. In Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I'm sure on both coasts, they are adding a Mando and Grogu adventure. So it sounds like maybe they're going to make the rewritability on that one better.
And that's coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run.
Yes, sorry. I should have said that. So yeah, that's going to be coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. And it's in celebration of the new Star Wars film, The Mandalorian and Grogu, coming to theaters in 2026.
Yes.
So tune in next week to hear Lacey and Lariah talk about that movie and what they think of what that's going to be like, because they're going to talk all things entertainment. Okay, and again, I think the rewritability of that one will be good, because right now the story, you have to do something special to get it into Chewie mode, which is the only thing that's different. So having potentially go in and get one of 2 stories or one of 3 stories or whatever will just make that one more interesting for people to go in, because I think maybe the popularity of that ride is waning a little bit.
I agree.
Okay, Candice's favorite topic. This one actually doesn't have an expandable, so I'm just going to read it. Defrosting in 2026. Queens Anna and Elsa, Olaf, and everyone else in Arendelle will welcome visitors to the latest land inspired by the beloved Disney animation film. This new location is sure to melt your heart. So it's coming to Disney Adventure World.
I believe that's in Shanghai or Tokyo.
Okay. So chances are we won't see that for a while.
Eventually,
yes. We have a lot of completing the fleet kind of things to do.
we really do.
Cruise ships, parks, again.
Disney, you're not helping.
Yeah,
But we
Disney-
love you for it.
Yes, we love you for it. And listeners, donations can start as low as $8,000. Maybe we should set up a GoFundMe.
Yes, get these super privileged, spoiled people to more places. That sounds like a plan. I'm sure everybody's clamoring for their checkbooks. Oh, we don't take checks.
Right. Okay, so the last thing on our list,
Super exciting about this last thing.
super exciting. They are introducing an all-new nighttime parade coming to Magic Kingdom in summer of 2025. Let me just read the first part of this. Picture this. You're nestled on Main Street, USA with your loved ones getting ready to watch a nighttime parade come to life right before your eyes. Maybe you've got a churro or a Mickey ice cream bar in hand, or are eyeing a nearby popcorn cart. Who knows? But the lights dim, the music swells, and now you're watching a brand new nighttime spectacular at the Magic Kingdom Park. You don't have to imagine this for much longer, because in summer 2025, a brand new parade will make its way to the most magical place on Earth. Broadway darlings and former Disney Live Entertainment cast members Rachel Potter and Eden Espinoza grace the D23 event, yada, yada, yada. Again, you can go out to Disney Parks blog to lead all of this. The all-new parade, Disney Starlight, is coming next summer. Disney Starlight will continue the nighttime spectacular legacy started by the Main Street Electrical Parade, using the latest technology to tell new stories about the characters you love. All of this is brought to life by the magic of the Blue Fairy, in addition to beloved characters from Walt Disney Animation Studio films Peter Pan, Encanto, Frozen, and more. Who is the Blue Fairy?
From Pinocchio?
Oh, okay. The nighttime spectacular Reach for the Stars debuts at Tokyo Disneyland on September 20th. Then in January of 2025, Disneyland Paris will also unveil its own new nighttime spectacular with timely songs from Disney and Pixar. The moving journey will be told through projections on Sleeping Beauty Castle and for the first time down Main Street. So yeah, that's exciting. Like, they took away Main Street Electrical Parade, and it felt like something was just kind of missing, right?
Right.
Everybody was like, we need a nighttime parade. We need, after it's dark, we need something to do on Main Street or whatever. And I think having that kind of a parade will be really cool.
Right. Yes, and I think as popular and as nostalgic as the Main Street Electrical Parade was, I think people have been clamoring for something. I would be perfectly fine if they were to bring back Spectro Magic.
Yes.
because that was amazing.
Yes. It sounds like maybe they're going to use some newer technology and stuff too. Maybe I never saw one of the nighttime parades before.
Stellar. Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
I wonder what new technology will be able to allow them to do that they couldn't with the old.
I don't know.
I wonder if it maybe runs a little cooler so they have less maintenance upkeep on the vehicles. Because everything,
they're more efficient.
Yeah, all of the lights would have had to have been housed inside of the ride vehicles or the parade vehicles.
And they were all battery operated.
Yeah, so maybe they've come up with a way to make that better.
Yeah.
More sustainable.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? But yeah, that's super exciting. We're going on an hour for this episode now, just talking about all the new things that are coming to the parks around the world.
There's a lot.
And parks and cruise line. There is a ton that they announced, and like Candice said, they are not blue skying any of this. Lots of this stuff is currently under construction. Mm-hmm. That is super exciting.
It is super exciting.
And the one thing I want to talk about is I know I'm probably one of the few nerds that cares about this, but in online social circles, everybody gives Disney, well, not everybody, a lot of people give Disney a hard time because Universal is opening Epic Universe down in Orlando. And they're like, oh, it takes Disney so long to build things, and they're not doing anything new, and they're not doing upkeep. Like, this kind of announcement of things that are in the works and in plan for the next 4 to 5, 6 years is ridiculous. The amount that they are doing.
Yeah.
When you think about in the same time that it took Universal to build Epic Universe, look at all the things that were built and changed around the Disney World universe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a Disney stan.
Yes.
So it's almost as though Universal says, okay, we're going to challenge Disney and open this Epic whatever it is. And nuts to you.
Right.
And Disney comes in and says, hold my beer.
Right.
You want to go? Let's go.
You're talking Epic Universe. We're talking Villains Land and all these other things.
Yeah.
We're going to do something in each of our parks that's going to bring more people in instead of just spreading more people around.
Yeah.
That were already going to your parks.
Yep.
We're going to do things that are going to bring more people in, and we're going to bring people in and still make them come to Orlando for Disney with Universal as a couple-day side trip.
Yep.
Which is exactly what it is today. And if you listen to the people that are I don't even want to say anti-Disney. They just think Disney should do more. Like, they want a fifth gate, all of those kind of things. Like, oh, Universal is bypassing Disney. But my point to those people is always and will always be, very small percentage of the population goes to Orlando for a Universal vacation and makes Disney a side trip.
Right.
A large percent of the population goes to Disney and makes Universal a side trip.
Yeah.
You can tell how popular one is over the other just simply by looking at the number of influencers. Mm-hmm. How many Disney influencers do Universal as well versus how many people are dedicated to just Universal versus just Disney.
Right.
It's crazy to me. It's crazy. And then Disney comes out with D23 and says, hey, look at this 87 bazillion things that we're doing in addition to the movies we're releasing, in addition to all of this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's super exciting. I hope you all are as excited as we are. I love episodes like this where we get to talk about all the new and we get to figure out what ideas they stole from us. So maybe we need to lawyer up and talk about a couple things.
I don't know that I'm willing to do that because that will cost us more than we would ever get out of it in the first place.
That's very true. Disney would be like, yeah, shut up. But we
said
TM.
And by the way, you're not welcome back at our park.
Right. Can I still watch your movies?
No.
Oh, that's too funny. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about, Candice?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good. Come check us out on our social media sites. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Come out and tell us what you're most excited about. Come to Facebook or Instagram on the post for this episode and tell us exactly what of these things you are most excited about. And then we'll talk to you and we'll interact with you there. We want to make this a community as much as we can. We love having you as listeners, and we love you all as people. So thank you so much. And remember that there is always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
And we'll see you real soon.